From 4 News Now, with live updates throughout the day, breaking news as it happens, and weather every 10 minutes. This is KXLY Plus.
Good morning and welcome to the KXLY Plus live update. I'm Natalie Grant. Coeur d'Alene is set to pause for a moment as a procession escorts fallen Kootenai County Fire and Rescue Battalion Chief Frank Harwood through the city one last time. You remember a gunman shot and killed Battalion Chief Frank Harwood in an ambush on Canfield Mountain just about 2 weeks ago. The procession for Harwood will travel from the English Funeral Chapel to the Hagedon Event Center, where the memorial will begin in just about an hour. We're taking a live look this morning just along 3rd Street in Coeur d'Alene, where the procession is about to begin. They're starting to block the streets off there. People in the Coeur d'Alene community were asked to line the streets in support of Frank Harwood and these other fallen firefighters throughout the morning. We saw them yesterday as the first procession of the week happened for John Morrison just yesterday around this time. Now, the memorial itself at Hagedon Event Center was closed to the public, but this is a way for the community to still show their support. We're going to take a live look here as we see people starting to line the street. This is like Coeur d'Alene Drive. You can see people are out standing with flags like we saw yesterday, lining the streets as they wait for the procession to come down this area. Now, we've learned a lot about Battalion Chief Frank Harwood over the last few days. So again, he was with the Kootenai County Fire and Rescue. He's 42 years old. He is a father of 2 young daughters, described as calm during chaos and loved serving others. I'm going to bring in Rob King here, who has been following just kind of the afterpour of these tragedies here. And we're going to start the procession here as Rob kind of makes his way into our live coverage here. And Rob, it's just amazing to see how the community has started to support, come out to support these firefighters.
Yeah, Natalie, you could see that procession starting to move, law enforcement leading it. As is usual, yesterday we saw John Morrison being escorted in a vintage fire truck, so we'll see if Frank Harwood is in that same fire truck. It was from the 40s, which they only use for special occasions. The community, we saw that support yesterday, and we've seen that pretty much since this tragedy occurred. If you'll recall, last week, they had the procession from the medical examiner's office in Spokane to the funeral home, and that was along I-90. Took that time from Spokane to Coeur d'Alene. You saw pretty much every overpass covered with people out there in support, and seeing how these two communities, Spokane, Coeur d'Alene, really coming together during this as the procession starts to move here down Lake Coeur d'Alene Drive, or excuse me, down 3rd.
Yes, again, they're making their way out of the funeral chapel, heading towards the Hagedon Event Center. That ceremony closed off to the public and to media, but this is a way that people in the community can really show their support and say goodbye to Battalion Chief Frank Harwood one last time. Again, that truck that Rob just mentioned, being carried, Morrison yesterday was being carried in that car. It's a Memorial 1947 Buffalo fire engine. I believe we're going to be seeing it here just as this procession goes through. It was used during Christmas time for the mobile Santa drive and served as an engine in Coeur d'Alene from 1947 to 1978. And we'll also see a couple of buses that are going to be following this procession too. You can see right there, we have a police escort out front, some fire trucks that are starting this procession, as well as buses carrying presumed friends, family members, and other firefighters and first responders who are coming out and going to the memorial over at the Hagedon Event Center.
And we'll just take a moment right now just to let you watch that without our coverage for just a moment. Just take this shot in.
And as we are watching this procession coverage, we've learned a lot about Battalion Chief Frank Harwood over these last few weeks here as things have come to light. He is a father of 2 young daughters, described as someone who's calm during chaos and loved serving others. He's also a decorated veteran with the Army National Guard, serving a tour in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom during his time in the Army National Guard, then going over to the Kootenai County Fire and Rescue. We're also going to check in with Mary Sheridan, our reporter who's on the scene there in Coeur d'Alene. And Mary, you were out here yesterday for the first procession. What are you seeing now? Where are you located right now as you're watching this?
Natalie, I'm here on Sherman and 3rd Avenue, and I want you to take a look at the people who are lining the street here. Downtown Coeur d'Alene has quieted down to the same solemn, somber energy that we saw yesterday for the procession. Today, some people are out here. You can see some people have flags, some people are joined by their families, but ultimately, the people of Coeur d'Alene are gathered here to pay their final respects to the fallen Battalion Chief Frank Harwood.
And Mary, you spoke to some of the people that were out on the scene there yesterday. What did it mean for them to come out and be a part of this procession and kind of show their support for our fallen firefighters?
Ultimately, people told me, Natalie, that they want to pay their respects to the first responders that put their lives on the line every day for their community. A lot of people told me this was the least that they could do, and it also goes to show that the people in the procession yesterday said that this made an immense impact, just knowing that the community is standing behind them. And even though this ceremony is closed to the public, this is just a way that people can come together and really be a part of a bigger effort and a bigger impact for this event.
Yeah, we're Mary Sheridan, who's live out there for us. Thanks, Mary. We are seeing that this procession is quite a bit longer than the one that we saw here yesterday. It kind of was a very quick procession yesterday. Again, yesterday we saw a lot of members of the Coeur d'Alene Fire Department with Battalion Chief John Morrison. Today we have Battalion Chief Frank Harwood with the Kootenai County Fire and Rescue here. So there may be different people or more people that are involved in this procession itself. Battalion Chief Frank Harwood, in his obituary, was mentioned as a mentor and one of the best tacticians here in our area. Just kind of, he did a lot of training with a lot of people in the area. A lot of people learned from him through his time as battalion chief and with the Kootenai County Fire and Rescue Squad. His family also mentioned that if you would like to make any donations to support, we have, you can make those to the Red and Blue Foundations. Not only do they support military families, but they also support families of first responders in our area.
And we're taking another live look over Sherman, where that procession coming down 3rd, it's going to turn down Sherman, continue down to Lake Coeur d'Alene Drive. You see that law enforcement officer starting to lead that as they block off traffic through this area. It's important to note that along with Harwood and Morrison, a 3rd firefighter was severely injured in this incident. That is fire engineer Dave Tisdall with the Coeur d'Alene Fire Department. Coeur d'Alene Fire Chief Tom Grief called that day, Sunday, June 29th, one of the most absolute darkest days either of these organizations has ever faced. It's, again, like we said, a long road to recovery for Dave Tisdall, who's shot through the back. But when we spoke with other firefighters, they wanted to note the heroic actions that he took that day, that after he was shot, he was able to get onto his radio, signal to other firefighter crews near Canfield Mountain to warn them not to come up to the mountain because of the shooter that was up there. So it's important to note that we will continue to follow Tisdall as he progresses through his recovery. And
it was also, we mentioned yesterday that it was important that he had a stream so he could watch these events in his recovery space, in his hospital room, so he can watch this procession go through and be able to tune into the memorial services of his fallen brothers.
Absolutely, and that was important to the departments to be able to have that so that Dave could watch this. We heard that he watched yesterday and will be watching again today, so we wish him the best.
There's a real sense of brotherhood that we've seen over these last couple of weeks within the first responders and the firefighting community out here. I mean, even over these last 2 days, we've had volunteers from a number of fire departments from all across Washington and Idaho. We have Idaho Falls, Boise, Nampa, Shoshone County, Spokane Fire, Spokane Valley Fire. They are manning the Coeur d'Alene the Coeur d'Alene firehouses over these last couple of days, taking on those shifts as volunteers so that the people who served alongside John Morrison and Frank Harwood are able to attend these memorial services if they'd like to. They said that they've had quite a few different members step up here and make sure that they're able to attend those if they want to.
Absolutely, and we've seen just how tight-knit this community is. There's a lot of overlap between, John Morrison was from Spokane, went to Meade High School, graduated Gonzaga. Now, as we take a live look, continuing to follow the procession as it makes its way down Sherman, you could see people standing out there in support for the fallen firefighters here.
Well, let's check in with Mary Sheridan. Mary, our reporter on scene there. Mary, you just saw that procession go by. Is there anything that you saw and anything that was different from yesterday, or just kind of the overwhelming feeling of what you're seeing and as these processions go by?
Natalie, all I can say is that this is a community that is really coming together in a time of tragedy. Everyone I've spoke to has been so eager to pay their respects, and they want to know when this is happening. They want to know how long it's going to be happening. They want to know how they can support these fallen heroes.
And there's been lots of ways that we can show our support. It's Mary Sheridan who's out there and on the field for us today, Mary. And right now we are taking a look at Lake Coeur d'Alene Drive. You can see those flags are standing by as they're waiting for that procession that is going to be approaching them in just a few minutes here. There's welcoming that towards the Hagedon Event Center where the memorial is going to be taking place. We mentioned a little earlier that the family of Battalion Chief Frank Harwood recommended that if you want to support their family, to put donations towards the Red and Blue Foundation. There's also a lot of other ways to support the Red and Blue Foundation here in Spokane. I know radio groups here at KXLY did a fundraiser a couple days ago, raising I think $36,000.
Yeah, KXLY
more
Radio partnered with Anchored Coffee just to do our part, to do what we could to help these folks, and raised more than $36,000. We've also seen just other businesses, breweries, we've seen across the country reach out asking how they can help. And almost immediately, the Coeur d'Alene community rallied to support these. The morning after the ambush, Village Bakery owner Dana Bellafiuli, who is married to a Spokane Valley firefighter, just to show you how tight-knit that community is, she turned her bakery into a hub for support. She made meals, collected food, helping first responders on the ground. And I know you'll probably recall that just the day after that ambush, people were going to the fire stations, bringing people coffee, just trying to do whatever they could to help through this tragic time.
If you're just joining us, here is a live look at Lake Coeur d'Alene Drive, the procession that is now in progress for Battalion Chief Frank Harwood, who of course was killed in that ambush just about 2 weeks ago. He is a battalion chief with the Kootenai County Fire and Rescue. 42 years old, father of 2 young daughters, a dedicated veteran who served in the Army National Guard, even doing a tour in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom. Just a mentor is how he's been described as in a lot of our reporting as we've gotten to learn more about these fallen firefighters over the last 2 weeks. He seemed like a mentor, someone who was teaching the people who are coming up within Kootenai County Fire and Rescue. Described as one of the best tacticians here in our area. So really spread his wealth of knowledge that he gained over his lifetime.
And that seems to be a real through line with these firefighters who were impacted by this, was that the 3 men who were injured in this tragedy were leaders. They were people that when they arrived on scene, you trusted their knowledge. They had a calm presence. We've heard that from firefighters about Morrison, Harwood, and Tisdall. Just how when they got there, you knew that you were in safer hands because they were on the scene to help you. I
remember yesterday when we were talking about Battalion Chief John Morrison, he was described as having a bigger than life personality, but he was also a very big man in stature as well, just a leader within the Coeur d'Alene Fire Department. And it seems like Frank Harwood was the same way, just a leader within his organization, just someone that the other firefighters and other people within our fire and rescue really looked up to and wanted to emulate in their service to the community. Yeah, Pete Hawley of Kootenai Fire and Rescue, the Deputy Chief of Operations, just described him as someone who was calm during chaos. He loved service, and you saw that with his military service before becoming a firefighter, and described him as a great man, a great friend, and a great leader. We are looking live right now at Lake Coeur d'Alene Drive, where that procession is just entering its final stretch here. This is the second of 2 processions to end off our week here as these firefighters are going to be laid to rest. That procession is going to be coming up right behind us here. We're seeing those police officers that are leading the pack here as it starts to make its way down. Let's take a moment to look at this procession as it makes its way down Lake Coeur d'Alene Drive. If you're just joining us, here is the final stretch of today's procession for Battalion Chief Frank Harwood, who was killed just about 2 weeks ago in the ambush on Canfield Mountain as they were responding to a brush fire. Yesterday we had the procession for Battalion Chief John Morrison. Today is for Frank Harwood with the Kootenai County Fire and Rescue. This is the final stretch of the procession going down Lake Coeur d'Alene Drive as it heads towards the Hagedon Event Center, where a memorial will be taking place in just about 30 minutes. At 11 o'clock is when that's set to start. Now that is closed to the public, but people are able to show their support by lining this procession route. And we can see a little bit off into the distance as that procession goes through and heads towards the Hagedon Event Center. You see 2 fire ladders there on either side of the road holding an American flag as this procession passes underneath. Just an absolutely, a little beautiful, but also kind of a chilling moment, just to show how important this is to our entire community here, not only in North Idaho, the people who live there, the people who these firefighters have served, but also to our fire communities. You can see those buses, those coach buses that are at the front of that procession. Though we are told that those are friends and family that are going to be going to that memorial service. But you can also see the number of first responders that are following behind them there, just in fire trucks, police cars, ambulances, on motorcycles. Just the impact that this has had on our first responding community is just incredible. The turnout, and we've seen people far and wide that are showing their support, reaching out and standing with their brothers today.
And I think it was important for the community also to be able to process this, to be able to come out, say goodbye, and like you said, that moment of them going under the American flag, just waving a final goodbye to these men who served for their community.
And that's going to be the end of this procession here. I believe it's ending here at the end of it, that those motorcycles here. But one thing we did not notice yesterday, we did see John Morrison, Battalion Chief John Morrison, was carried in that memorial fire engine, that 1947 Buffalo fire engine that was used during Christmas time for the Coeur d'Alene Fire Department. That was a symbol to John within itself. But today we did not see that truck out on the procession line, something that was special for John. But obviously this is a very different procession for a different person who gave their life in a different way here.
Absolutely. And Battalion Chief Harwood, he leaves behind his wife, 2 young daughters. According to other firefighters, they described his family as his greatest joy was spending time with them. He loved cheering them on at sporting events, exploring the outdoors, and finding the humor in every moment that he could.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today. This is going to conclude our broadcast of this procession this morning, but we will have a full breakdown of the events today, speaking to people who knew Battalion Chief Frank Harwood and who came out to show their support. You can stay tuned with us here on KXLY and 4 News Now at 5 and 6, and throughout the day here on KXLY+.